Hello friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. Today's video is another installment in my makeup collection and declutter series for the year. In this video specifically, I am going over all of my brushes, eye brushes, face brushes, sponges, puffs, all that kind of stuff. And I am so excited. I filmed that portion like a week ago and it felt so good. So I'm excited to share it with you. If you were ever curious about my top favorite brushes, this is the video for you. I've done so many videos in the series so far. There are only 2 more to go. We'll tackle my like singles, glitters, loose shadows, liquid shadow, stuff like that. And then the grand finale will be my eyeshadow palettes. And I'm so excited. It's almost over. I can't believe we're already so deep into like this time of year with my declutter series. It went by so fast. Before we hop into the video itself, I did of course film this look. It should already be up on my channel in a recent get ready with me. And as far as my accessories today go, I just have little Primark earrings and Amazon plugs. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop into it and attack my makeup brushes. Okay, my friends, we are now in the brush portion of my makeup collection and declutter series. This is a category I don't do every single year, just because I really don't feel like I accumulate too many brushes too often. But because I didn't do it last year, I did feel like I needed to do it this year. And as you can see, my face brushes in particular, like, why do I have so many? I only have one face and I feel like I use the same brushes all the time, whereas eye brushes, I'm happy to have a huge variety of because I do lots of colorful makeup looks all the time. But when it comes to like my face brushes, this is just extreme. I feel like I have accumulated some or maybe hoarded too many from last time, but I'm gonna remedy that situation today. I'm starting out with 324 total brushes, and that's also including my sponges and powder puffs. I would love to condense this down by quite a bit. I don't think I'm gonna cut it totally in half, but I would love it to be somewhere maybe in the 250 or less range. I think that would be good. Maybe getting rid of like, 80 of them, like a quarter of them. I think that's probably doable. I just have too many. I have favorites. I have things that I'd prefer to use. And if anything, I feel like I'm at a place right now where I've gotten in a good groove where I wash my brushes every like 10 days to 2 weeks, which before I would go months sometimes, which was horrible. But I'm in a groove now where I wash them more frequently. So I feel like I'd rather condense it down to the things I love the most. And then I will just clean them more often and then actively use only the things I love the most. But before we get into it, of course, the typical housekeeping things. If I declutter your favorite brush, it is what it is. It's not that deep. I'm so glad it's your favorite. It's just not my favorite for whatever reason. We all have different preferences and that's okay. Also, please don't ask me to send you anything. I feel weird giving used like makeup products to people I don't know. I give dibs to my friends and family. I donate what I'm able to and I dispose of what is beyond its point of no return. And last but not least, please don't feel pressured to declutter your collection if that's not what's right for you. It's just what's right for me. And I like to do this at the end of every year. This one in particular, every couple years, I suppose. Okay, so kicking it off with my face brushes, I figured I would start here, mostly just because when I was laying everything out to take the before pictures, I figured I would just leave these out and not have to like put them away just to put them back out. So we're gonna start here. I have 76 face brushes. This one will probably be the biggest part of the declutter just because, again, I have too many. I use the same things. I have top tier favorites. There's no reason why I need like this many kabuki brushes and like this many giant powder brushes. Like, I have brushes I don't touch, I have brushes I don't use, so we're gonna condense it down. And I kind of have these in like categories to make my life easier a little bit so that I know what I like to use in each individual category. So starting off first with like my kabuki brushes, I have a big pile of them over here. I will actually move them more to the middle. This one is meant for like body products, like body highlight and stuff. I don't use stuff like this, so I don't need to keep this. I have this dual-ended one from Makeup by Mario. I feel like this is fine. It's kind of like this one you could like set with powder, like really pack it on. This one you could blend out like your complexion products. It's just not really a brush I'm using, so I'll declutter this one. This is my favorite foundation brush, the Sigma F48, so this one is an absolute keep. I also, for some reason, have 2 of the Sigma F47s. I do like this brush, actually, so I think I will keep one of them. I'll just keep this one, why not? The silver matches the silver over here. I also have the Sigma 40 HD Kabuki. I feel like this used to be like the ultimate brush like back in like 2017 YouTube. Like if you weren't a Morphe person and you were a Sigma person, this was the brush you used for foundation. I feel like I still kind of want to keep this. Like, why do I want to try to use this again soon? Curiosity makes me want to keep this one. I have my Singe brushes as well, which I really enjoy. I have the F03, the F05, and the F01, just various sizes and shapes. This one I feel like I'm more likely to use for like cream or powder bronzer. Actually, I can kind of go either way. I feel like either of these I could use for like foundation if I want a smaller brush. I could do concealer because it is small enough, even like cream blush. I will keep these because I think they're nice. But I think the other ones I can let go of. Like this Sigma F46 is fine, but I'm just not really using it. I have this Motd Cosmetics that would probably be good for like concealer that I don't use. This Lethal Cosmetics one is interesting and it's unique and it does work nicely, but I'm just not using it. I have this e.l.f. Putty Primer brush that I just frankly don't care about. This Milk Makeup one is fine. This came out with the newest jelly tints. It works, it does the job. I like the angle. I actually should have kept this with my angled brushes now that I think about it, but whatever. But I'm not using it. This Fantasy Cosmetica one though, I do like these brushes. I feel like they're very like blendable and floppy. I don't know if I need this one in particular though. Although this is nice for detail work and I feel like it is a slightly different shape than some of the other ones because it bevels out a little bit. I think I will keep this one too. That way I have a few different options. Kind of on the topic of foundation, I have these two that are more like paintbrush style, the Singe F04 and then the Spectrum A20. I don't really use paintbrush type brushes very often, but I will keep one just in case I need it. So I'll keep the Singe one, I'll declutter the Spectrum. I do really like Spectrum though, I just don't need that particular brush. I guess let's do my powder brushes next. I have kind of like smaller ones and then bigger ones. As far as small ones go, the F11 is my favorite. I love the Soft Sculpt line from Sigma. I just think it's so good. These brushes are so soft and so luxurious and I really enjoy this one. The F12 is also really nice actually, and I feel like both of these brushes are just ones that fit under the eye really nicely. I could also use blush or something if I want this type of a brush. I do tend to go for an angle, but I think I'll keep both of these. The other ones I don't think I need to keep though. Like I have this Oden's Eye one, this Lethal 115, which is nice. This was my go-to before the Sigma one came out. Oh my gosh, this Luxie one used to be my go-to years ago. This Sigma and Dominique Cosmetics, this old Kaleidos brush, and this Spectrum one. I think I can get rid of these ones. Moving on to my larger powder brushes now. I feel like I do like a giant powder brush, especially for setting like a huge part of my face really fast. I also have a couple brushes in here that would work more as like bronzer, like they're more of a beveled. Like this is my favorite bronzer brush, the F44 from Sigma. Just love this shape for bronzer. I think it's so good. A couple similar ones from Unearthly and Spectrum, but I really don't need more than just that Sigma one. Same with this Lethal one. This Lethal one's also kind of similar. I feel like as far as giant powder brushes go, I do really like this obnoxiously big Fantasy Cosmetica F04. It just covers such a large surface area so fast if I'm just doing general setting. I have the Sigma F24 and F25. I just don't really care about these in particular. Like I don't remember the last time I grabbed these, so I don't think I need them. I do like this Fantasy Cosmetica one too, the F02. It's very just like floppy. I feel like it's just a good setting brush. Like it's bigger than the smaller ones I'd mentioned earlier, but it's not as obnoxiously big as the other one. So I think this one I'll keep too. But everything else I think I can let go of. Like I have this Oden's Eye one, Unearthly 8-16, this Lawless dual-ended one that I frankly forgot I had. It's obviously gotten a little crunched sitting around. This Lethal Cosmetics 100, this Dominique and Sigma. Actually, I do use this brush quite a bit. And you know, it does give me another size between the Fantasy. I'll keep this one too, because I actually do use it. I have this Rare Beauty one, and I have this one, this Milk Makeup one. I didn't know what it was. I could barely see the name on that. So these ones I can all let go of. Moving on to my stippling brushes. I really don't use this type of a brush very often at all. But I do want to keep, I think, one of them for the occasion that I do. This one's the F53 from Sigma. It's very soft. I like these different bristles. Actually, I don't know when the last time I used this one is. Part of me feels like I've never used it because this looks like pristine clean. Like not even like it was once used and then clean. Like this looks like pristine. I think I will keep this just so I have a stippling option. I guess I have another F53 right here. Yeah, I don't think I need any of the others. Like this Freck one is fine, but it's just a little too big for what I need it for. Rare Beauty, we have two Unearthlies over here. This is an old Kaleidos one and then that Sigma one, so I can let go of these. Here's some teeny tinies. These are like basically concealer brushes, but I also use things like this for like throwing eye primer on. This one, more of an eyeshadow brush, but I use this for nose contour sometimes. I'll keep it for that purpose. I don't contour my nose heavily that often, but that one does come in handy if I ever need to. I do like the Sigma F72. Again, I love this soft sculpt line. It's like my favorite. And I also do like the Singe one, the F02. So F72, F02. I think these are the two I'll keep. The other ones I don't think I really need. I have Rare Beauty, Alter Ego, 2 from Unearthly, and 1 Makeup by Mario. I just really don't need a surplus of these. Like, 2 is totally fine. I don't use them for my concealer very often. Sometimes I do, mostly just for eye primer. Let's go over my angled brushes. I really like an angled brush for blush specifically. Some of these are a little disheveled from getting shoved and put away into different areas. The Sigma F40 is like my go-to blush brush. It's my favorite. It's so just like fluffy and beautiful. As far as creams go, I love the F43. Again, that soft sculpt line. It's just so good. I use this all the time. I also will keep this Singe one, the F06. It's like a teeny one, so if I want really precise blush application, this is great. But again, everything else I don't think I need to hoard. Like, I just don't need a million of them, so I have like an Unearthly, Lethal, Alter Ego. Ooh, this Blend Bunny one is nice. I just haven't found myself reaching for it. Sigma and Dominique. Spectrum, and Unearthly again. I have these 2 miscellaneous brushes. The Sigma F08 is like a really precise powder brush. You know, sometimes this is nice for very specific setting under the eye, and I don't really have anything else like this, so I will keep this one. I have this one from Fantasy Cosmetica. I feel like it does blend really nice, and it does work really well for things like contour and stuff like that and bronzer. I just don't think this is my preferred shape, so I'm not gonna keep it. And then everything else I consider to be more of a highlighter brush. I love this little teeny tiny Lethal Cosmetics fan brush. It's one of my absolute favorites. I also like something small and tapered like this Singe F07. And this one's a recent addition into my collection. It's one of the Avatar Lethal products. It's like this giant fan brush. I'm not really someone who usually likes a fan brush, but I actually do kind of like the application of this. Otherwise, I feel like I might just want one more long skinny one. Maybe the Rare Beauty one. I like how long and floppy it is. It's a good texture. I think these 4 are what I need. And then I have like 3 from Spectrum and 1 from Colourpop that I can let go of. Okay, well that was super successful. We started with 76, I decluttered 50, and now I have 26. That is so much better. It's actually honed in on the things that I enjoy using, and I don't just have a bunch of excess for no reason. Let's move on now to my sponges and powder puffs. Let's just get those out of the way before we dive into the hefty eye brush category. Okay, sponges and puffs. I have 11 things here. Not too hefty, but I definitely could condense this a little bit. I have 7 puffs, 4 sponges. This Juno & Co. one is pretty old. I don't need to keep it anymore. I'll keep this unused Salem Cosmetics one. I do like the Salem Cosmetics sponges. They're very, very squishy. And then I have this Singe one and this Freck one. Both are kind of on their last legs, not gonna lie. Like, they've been used. They've been quite used. I feel like I can probably part ways with these as well. And then puffs. I like this e.l.f. one, but I feel like after I washed it, it got kind of weird. Like the texture isn't quite right anymore, which is unfortunate. Maybe I washed this particular puff wrong, but my other one seemed fine. So I don't want to keep this one. It's not a texture I enjoy anymore. It's a little rough. This Unearthly one is so good. Like, do you see how just like plush this is? It is so nice. I do want to keep this one. It's my softest one for sure. I also really like this Rare Beauty one. I like the shape of it, this like diamond shape. It's very nice. And then I have the Nightmare Before Christmas with Spectrum, the Singe Beauty, which are basically the same. I don't really need both. I could stand to wash these soon. I think it's been a little while since I washed these ones. I think I will keep both of these. And then I have 2 Lottie London ones. I have a big one and a small one. I think I'll declutter the small one just because I do have the 2 over here that are the same size. But I do want to keep the big one for when I need it. I did accidentally get like eyeshadow on it on the top, but that's okay. I like the size of this one. Well, that was quick and easy. Started with 11, decluttered 5. Now I have 6. Cut that in half, which was good. Let's do my eye brushes next. And I'm going to kind of categorize it, but we'll get there. Okay, moving on to the eyeshadow brushes, and I kind of have different categories. Some of them aren't even on screen because they just didn't fit. But I have 231 things here, and again, I do like to have a big variety because I'm constantly doing makeup looks. I film almost every single day, and I'm doing a wide variety of colors. So I like to have options, but again, I'm not opposed to having less options and kind of just needing to wash them more often because one, it is good to wash your brushes. And I have found when you wash a smaller batch, it is way less daunting, which is obvious, but I feel like a lot of us wait until our brushes build up to where we have none. And then it's like the biggest task. But if you wash them when there's only like, you know, 10 brushes, it takes 2 seconds and it's great. So I definitely do want to condense this. I have some that I just don't care about. I kind of really want to pick and choose what my actual favorites are so I can use those more. And I feel like sometimes my brushes get kind of lost amongst each other. So I do want to hone it in a little bit. Let's start with some of these smaller categories like my liners. Like I have these various liner brushes from Gavissi. I have an Unearthly and a Spectrum. Honestly, I'm going to keep all of these because I only have 5. So I'm just gonna keep these. I do use these with graphic liner and stuff. I also have these little guys, which I typically use for like inner corner highlighting, or if I'm doing really teeny tiny detail work. I do use these 2 Game Beauty ones a lot for inner corner highlight. I just feel like it's the perfect shape, and same with this Lethal one. Ooh, also the Sigma E21. And then I do use these 2 e.l.f. ones for making like chunky wings and like covering them with shimmer. But I think just the shapes of this Fantasy Cosmetica and Lethal Cosmetics are just not ones I'm really actively reaching for, so I can part ways with these. Here's a category that was kind of off camera. These are pretty much all my flat liner brushes. I have a mixture of angled and just flat. Let me pull out my flat ones first, actually. I have like a mixture of Sigma, Alamar Cosmetics, e.l.f., and Colourpop. I really don't reach for this kind of a brush that often, so I think I will just keep honestly just one of the Sigma ones, the E15. I think that's really all I need because I rarely reach for this type of brush. I have the ones that are more specific to just brows. I have just a plain spoolie, I have a Spectrum one, and I have 2 old Alter Ego ones. And honestly, the one I use pretty much exclusively lately is just this Spectrum one, so I think that's the one I'll keep. Everything else is an angled liner brush. Again, I have a mixture of different brands. I have Game Beauty, e.l.f., Lethal, Sigma, Blend Bunny, Colourpop. I have a good mixture here. And I definitely have ones I lean toward if I'm gonna use the shape. Again, I don't use the shape that often, but sometimes I do. Like these 2 Teensy Weensy E06s from Sigma, I think I wanna keep. Same with this little Lethal Cosmetics one. This is a 235. I do want this. I think I will keep this Unearthly one as well, just because it's very, very fine and skinny. Last, probably just this Teensy Weensy Blend Bunny one. And I think the other ones I can let go of just because I don't need like a plethora. All right, everything else is a bigger category. I have like pencil brushes over here, my flats, like more cut creasy style eyeshadow brushes, my angled blending brushes, my traditional packing brushes, my Teensy Weensy packing brushes, small blending brushes, tapered blending brushes, and fluffy blending brushes. All of these categories I can definitely stand to lose some. Let's keep going with the smaller categories because it's a little daunting, I'm not gonna lie. These are my like teeny packing brushes where they're kind of like small and stubby, really good for like outer corner lid work. That's kind of what I use these for when I like really want to target specific areas. I do like this Singe one a lot, the E04. I feel like the shape is just really, really good. I feel like this Lethal Cosmetics 216 is also a really nice shape. I like these 2 Fantasy Cosmetica ones too. I just think the shape is really good for detail work. This Game Beauty one does do a good job for me as well. And I think also this Unearthly 8-5, both of these just are good shapes for what I need. But I think I can let go of these like really old like Colourpop, Oden's Eye, Spectrum. Like a lot of these I've had in my collection for 1,000 years. And I'm not particularly reaching for these specifically. Like if I want that shape, I want my favorites. So that's what I'll do. Let's do my cut creasy ones next. Pretty big variety here, pretty big variety. Just gonna kind of spread them down here just a little bit so I can pinpoint what are my favorites. I do love the Sigma E57. That is good for precise cut creasy work. Like a flat brush like this is like what I need when I want stuff like that. Same with the Singe E07. I feel like that just does what I need it to. Oop, here's another fat one from the previous category. It must have gotten mixed in. This is from Gavissi. I actually do like this one a lot. I'll keep this one too. I have a few Spectrum A16s in different colors, but I think I'm just gonna keep my newest one, the Nightmare Before Christmas collection from last year, just because the other ones are really old. The like brush is kind of falling apart a little bit itself. These ones, these are getting a little old. These various Unearthly ones I actually reach for quite a bit, so I'll keep these. I have another Spectrum A16 that's actually still in pretty good shape, and I have this Lethal Cosmetics 225. I'll keep these ones. Oh, I have another Unearthly too. I'll keep that. I have this ginormous Illamasqua one, which is pretty obnoxious. I don't use it often, but sometimes I want to cover a huge surface area really quick, so I'll keep this. Otherwise, I think the only ones I want are these 3 Alter Ego ones. These 2 I don't think exist anymore, and this one's newer. But I like the shapes of them. But I think I can let go of like this old Juno & Co, Olimar, a few different Colourpops, Ace Beauty. Oh, I do like this Blend Bunny one too, actually. I think I will keep this Blend Bunny one as well. I have a few dual-ended ones, like these Sigma ones and this Luxie one, which I can't believe this one is still surviving. I got this in a BoxyCharm 1,000 years ago. I actually do reach for these fairly frequently on days that I don't want to dirty 2 brushes. I just want a dirty 1. I also travel with these a lot, so I'm gonna keep all 4 of these. Let's do these angled blending brushes next. These have kind of like a angled sort of tip where they, you know, they have an angle. I can't explain it any better than that. I actually used to use this type of a brush all the time, but I feel like my brushes have just gotten so many that I was kind of losing these. So I actually do want to reach for these more. I think I have my selection. I want to keep this like Blend Bunny one, this really tiny Unearthly one, this teeny tiny Luxie one that has survived 1,000 years. Same with this fluffier Luxie one that's survived 1,000 years. These 2 from Game Beauty, I like the shape of them, and then this fluffier Lethal Cosmetics one, but I like the angled shape and I want to use these more. And the ones I can let go of are mostly just a mixture of like Spectrum, old Alter Ego, an MOTD, just old ones. These ones are kind of just not their prime anymore. I have traditional packing brushes now. These are just like, you know, stamp shadow all over your lid kind of thing. I have way too many. I don't need this many, that's for sure. These ones are going to be bigger than the more precise ones I mentioned earlier. Well, the Sigma E55 is my favorite. I have so many of them. These are featured in my BATTYBEAN Sigma brush set, so if you need like a solid brush set, that's in my description box always if you want to check it out. But I love this brush. It's such a good packing brush, so obviously it's a keep. I also want to keep some other random Sigma ones, so these are like 2 E28s. I like how big they are. The E54 is a little bit more precise. I actually do like this for under the lower lash line, and then the E57 is just like a smaller version of the E55, so I'll keep these. And you know, looking at everything else, I don't know if anything else is something I need to keep because I have a pretty good variety with all of those Sigma ones, so I think I can let these go. It's again just a mixture of a lot of the same things I've mentioned already, like Game Beauty, Lethal, Alter Ego, Spectrum, Luxie, Oden's Eye, just a random variety. When you genuinely want to declutter, I feel like this is how you do it. Let's move on to some of the blending brushes now. Okay, moving on to my blending brushes, I reorganized just a little bit. So we have my tapered ones, my smaller blending brushes, my bigger, fluffier blending brushes, and my pencil brushes. Let's start with the tapered blending. This is one of my favorite types of brush. I just love the shape because you can kind of like pack on the lid because it has sort of that packing brush shape, but then it's fluffy, so you can blend. It's just great. It's like one of the first brushes I used. And if you know, you know, the Sigma E27 is my #1 favorite. This is also found in my like little Sigma BATTYBEAN brush favorites kits, but this is my favorite. I just love it. I love it so much. I have a couple other Sigma ones I enjoy, like the E24s. I have some E25s over here as well. They're just kind of like different sizes of the same shape. I think the only other one I'll keep is the Singe E06, but I think I can let go of the others. I feel like I have a pretty good variety, so again, just like a mixture. I have some Gavissi, old Kaleidos, old Alter Ego, old Colourpop, stuff like that. Let's do my pencil brushes next. I just have too many. I have way too many. The teeny Blend Bunny ones are automatic keeps. I think I have 2 or 3 sets of all the brushes. Some of them are in my like small blending brush category, but I love the Blend Bunny brush set. It's just so good. They are the teeniest, tiniest little brushes, and it's great. I also have some Sigma faves, of course. The E30 is my favorite pencil brush. I just love the little tapered tip. It's so good. With this one, I think I meant to put in the like dense packing brush category, the E01, so I'm gonna move it to there. This tiny Luxie brush I've had forever, the 111, but there's just something about this shape, this like dense little angle. I feel like it's special, so I want to keep it. Oh, I have another little dense packing brush from Game Beauty. I already kept one, so I'll keep the other 2. I enjoy the shape of this Lethal 220 as well. It's a little bit longer. It's nice. And call me crazy, but I think I might get rid of the rest just because, again, I really want to hone in on my top favorites. And these are all getting kind of old, so So I think it's time. I have a mixture of a lot of Colourpop. A lot of these are Colourpop. I have some Game Beauty in the mix, some Unearthly, Old Kaleidos, a various amount of things. And I just don't need this many. I'd rather just stick to my favorites. Small and big. Let's do the smaller fluffy blending brushes first. These are ones that I like don't really consider to be a pencil brush, but they're a smaller version of a big fluffy brush. Whoops, I have another E27. That's getting kept, of course. Well, the E42 is also one of my favorite brushes from Sigma. It's just such a good shape for detail work. Again, all the small blend bunnies are absolute keeps. I have to have these. I do enjoy these Singe ones, the E05 and the E02. A few other great Sigma ones. These are the E45. This one in the middle is the E49. The E36 is this long, blendy one, great for cut crease work. And the E33 is also good for cut crease work, but just in a fluffier way. I do like this teeny tiny Fantasy Cosmetica one too. I also have enjoyed these Alter Ego ones, the 201 and the 204. I feel like the shapes are really nice, so I'll keep these. Everything else though is kind of getting a little bit old, so I don't think I need these. Like I'm keeping a good fair few. So again, we have a mixture here. I have some e.l.f., Game Beauty, Unearthly, a couple Luxies and Gavissis in here. These are all pretty old. And finally, last but not least, are the big fluffy ones. So let me pull out my favorites to start. The E40 from Sigma is one of my top fave, like big blending brushes ever. It's so big and fluffy. The Sigma E38 is also a fave. It's a little bit smaller than the E40, and both of these are in my brush set with Sigma. Ooh, the Sigma E45 Max is also pretty nice. It's like really like long and fluffy. I like it. I'll keep my Singe E03 one as well. I want to keep these Alter Ego and Lethals as well, just for more big blending brush options. Ooh, this little Blend Bunny one's also really good. I might store this with the smaller blending brushes though, because it's a little more dense. I haven't kept many Kaleidos brushes so far just because they were getting kind of old, but these fluffy brushes still stand the test of time for me. Ooh, actually also the tapered blending brush that I originally had decluttered. I think I'll keep these three. And call me crazy, but I think I might declutter the rest. Again, I really just want to focus on my top favorites, and some of these are just getting really old, like again, a mixture of a lot of old Colourpop, old Spectrum, old Alter Ego, some are old BoxyCharm ones, random variety of things. Ooh, actually, I do want to keep this Fantasy Cosmetica one. This one's really nice. There's also this funky one from Fantasy Cosmetica. It's odd. It does blend really nice and give you a wing shape really easy. I might keep it just because it's weird, actually. And I might keep this newer Spectrum B07. I have a lot of B07s, but they're getting very old, but this one's still really new, so I'll keep it. Spectrum used to be my #1 favorite brush brand there for a minute. But yeah, these are all really old, so I'd rather just focus on the things that I use more often. They're not like kind of falling apart and the bristles aren't getting weird. So yeah, I'll declutter these. This was a huge declutter actually. I'm really excited to count my totals. Okay, I'm back with updates. First of all, I completely miscounted in the beginning. I did not start with 324 things. I started with 318 things. I don't know where I got that number from. So I started with 318 things. I ended up decluttering 162 and I'm left with 156. I decluttered over half of them, which again, might seem crazy, and past Betty Jean probably would have hoarded so many more of these, but I really have over the last half a year or so gotten in the habit of washing my brushes a lot more frequently. It makes my life easier, and then I'm finding I'm using my favorite things more often, so I love seeing my brushes now. I'm loving looking next to me and just seeing that there's less, but it's all things that I love dearly, so I feel like this was the most successful declutter so far this year. As far as just like really ridding myself of the old. I mean, I feel like I've done a good job so far no matter what, because I'm not keeping things just for the sake of keeping them. I'm keeping them because I genuinely want to use them, but this was a very good, like almost cleaning out the garbage kind of declutter. For those of you who like the visual, here is the picture of the 318 things I started with. Here are the 162 things I decluttered, and last, here are the 156 things that I am keeping. I feel so good about this. I'm so excited. This feels amazing. I'm super pumped, honestly. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This was such a satisfying declutter. As I've been like using my brushes over this last week since I filmed it, I just love knowing exactly what I have and using only my top favorites. It's felt so good. It was a much needed declutter. I feel like that was the most needed one, honestly. Maybe my blushes and highlighters. That was a much needed one in that video, and my lips. It's all needed. It was time for my yearly declutter for sure. I would love to hear your thoughts. What are your favorite brushes? Do we have similar brush tastes? I would love to know. If you made it to the end of this video, I don't think there's a makeup brush emoji. So you know what? Leave a broccoli emoji. A broccoli kind of looks like a face brush, right? And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot. And if you're not already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm BATTYBEAN there as well. And you can also subscribe. I'm posting most days over here. You can also check out my second channel, linked in my description box for additional content. And also in my description box, you are welcome to join my channel memberships. There's a couple different tiers with a couple different perks, and I would love to have you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye.